Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a special World Baseball Classic preview episode. And at the end of the show, toward the end of the show, because this is the international episode, I'll be talking about FIBA World Cup qualifiers because that just happened over the past weekend. Puerto Rican national team finally got a win after losing three straight to start. So don't know if they're going to make the World Cup, but we'll talk about that toward the end. Speaking of international, so we have the World Baseball Classic and FIBA World Cup stuff covered on this channel today. Bradford William Davis is here on Twitter at BWD, which is great. I assume just one BWD was taken already. Um,
Yeah, Elon's not letting me live my best life, so I had to type it in 3 times. But my name is Bradford William Davis, so it's 3 initials.
has a new baseball venture called iBlack, and is that would you call it a Substack or would you just call it a newsletter?
Well, yeah, I mean it's a sports newsletter, not just baseball, but
Oh,
yeah, and it's not on Substack actually. It's on another platform called Beehive.
mm.
I like it that way. I chose it. Not like I never heard of Substack. I appreciate all the great Substacks out there, but yeah, it's a place for thoughtful,
Yes,
introspective,
love that.
and oftentimes investigative writing
Love
on
that.
sport and all of the factors that play into sport that sport can distract us from.
Mm.
So, like the tagline for the site is just like the paint under, Aaron Judge's eyes or, any football player, any wide receiver. That paint helps them keep the eye on the ball. That's what we do.
Mhm.
That's what iBlack does for y'all. Keep your eye on the ball by understanding culture, identity, politics, and how all of that manifests in sports.
I love the puns.
Oh yeah,
Okay, let's.
it's a little bit double entendre as well. Like
I think that's gonna be good. I'm excited about that. Okay, World Baseball Classic is probably my favorite thing in baseball, um, which would probably surprise nobody who watches this, given my affinity for international basketball, also boxing and the Olympics. Baseball, once an Olympic sport that I cared about, but that's gone a different way now. But we've had since over the last 20 years the World Baseball Classic, which has been great. And I want to ask you here, let's start with this. In terms of the World Baseball Classic, what do we think is, or what do you think rather, is the thing that you're going back to the eye black point, keeping your eye on the most? Like, what's most important to you before we go into group by group storylines and things to watch out for? Just what's the big overarching thing as we're at a time now where it feels like, hey, baseball's gotten some momentum. However, there could be a lockout in here.
Yeah, I mean, look, the World Baseball Classic is an incredible tournament. The last one was so fun. So was the 2017 one when Team USA took it all. Like I am with you. I think it actually is the best thing that at least I've experienced in organized baseball.
Mhm.
So again, apologies for the hardcore KBO heads. I'm sorry. I never seen that, but like I do, but at least from me as a Westerner, I really love the World Baseball Classic. However, uh, we are kind of doing a dry run for whether or not this country can handle the beauty of international play. Because remember, we got the World Cup coming up this summer, like, talking about, soccer, football, right? Like, and all of these different countries and federations coming in, and their fans in a place that's not even not always, that's too nice. That is actively hostile to the fans and people from a number of different communities, identities. If you look like you or me, and you speak with an accent, you're a suspect in this country right now. And so I'm
Mm.
very curious if they can get through this with entirely without incident. It seems extremely unlikely. In fact, Cuba already had 8 members of its World Baseball Classic traveling party denied visas. And Cuba, to be clear, always has issues getting into the U.S. Again, quite historically, read a book, right? But it's
Right,
a little
right.
weak right now because of the current administration and how they're trying to move with, again, anybody from a increasingly large list of countries and nationalities that the administration does not favor. So I certainly hope, again, it's incident free, but I don't blame anybody for deciding to watch it on the couch this time if you're an international fan thinking about, am I really going to go to Houston? Am I really going to go to Miami? Like, for why? like,
Yeah. Of all the locations too. I think because here we don't shy away from that. I know some World Baseball Classic previews may just keep it to baseball, but it matters much more than just what we see on the field. Um, the players themselves will tell you that. I think that to me that's part of it, but also the environments and maybe how much those environments get affected. So like last year, for example, and that's if if I speak on their bullshit. But if we look at last year, for example, or last World Baseball Classic, the 2023, I
mhm.
wonder if this is going to change. I remember PR versus DR. This is the game where Edwin Diaz closes them out, gets a save, ruptured his Achilles, and basically the entire game, the entire time, mind you, this is a rivalry. Bradford, this is a rivalry between PR and DR. It is a party. It is in Miami. There's instruments, there's songs, there's dancing, there's all this shit in the crowd. And the game is over. And it's still loud. And then you flip over to, I think it was Fox. It's got to be Fox. USA versus it was Colombia. It was USA versus Colombia. I'm pretty sure it was. Dead silence in Phoenix, Arizona. Just dead silence atmosphere. And that's one of the things I'm like, yo, I know people are gonna be hype about Team USA, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I, I'm not gonna say that I'm rooting for the favorites in this one. Is where I'll put it. To. I'm gonna be objective, but at the same time, it's like we are where we are. Okay, let's get into the World Baseball Classic group by group. I'm gonna share screen here. We'll start with Group A, and make sure you go follow iBlack, readiblack.com. Okay, Group A, obviously the one that one of the ones that I'm going to be paying very close attention to. As we pull this up here, this one is going to be San Juan. Bradford, there's been a lot of shit involving the Puerto Rican national team this time around with baseball. Speaking of insurance issues, first of all, before we get into the actual group, which consists of Puerto Rico, Cuba, Canada, Panama, and Colombia. Canada is actually like some people are expecting them to break out. We'll see if that's going to happen. But the insurance issues and how that impacted the team, like what's kind of your read on this? Because obviously we can't, like, I'll say we in this instance, can't bring Francisco Lindor, can't bring this, can't bring that. Like the insurance thing seems to really affect Puerto Rico more than other teams.
Bro, it really sucks, man. Like, I just on the highest level, as a fan of the sport and wanting to see the absolute best play, it really sucks how much insurance was like, you know, it was 26 men rosters now, like the 27th man, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, uh, like it's too loud. We should not have to think about this when it comes to international play. And I know baseball is a weird sport in that way, in where, like, especially for pitchers, but like, but this wasn't affecting just pitchers. That extra strain, that extra, 98-mile-an-hour fastball could be the thing that knocks you out for an entire year, like your arm is a ticking time bomb and stuff like that. And so I can understand how that can be difficult in some ways to insure players. However, like, I mean, again, it's just like, it's such a bad look to have a tournament really swung by like players who really want to be a part of this, have likely vocalized that they want to be a part of it for a very long time, simply just not be able to find a policy that covers them. Like, what? Carlos Correa, honestly, I kind of get he's been injury prone. Lindor is, helmet bone that he just broke aside, like, reasonably healthy, durable player. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the kind of thing that, that sucks here. Cause you're losing. I know I thought the song a broken record, but like that team, Puerto Rico should be the favorites in this group, in my opinion. They really should be. Like,
I think they still are. I think they still are. all
like
that
the
being said,
overwhelming favorites,
but
you know,
yes,
like the
100%.
overwhelming favorites, and there's a lot of guys that just like could not get cleared, you know, particularly the ones that ring to me right now are, you know, Lindor and Correa, you know, guys who, you know, who can make a significant difference. Especially do like Correa is such a clutch god, you know, like you won him in the bottom of the ninth, down, you know, one with, you know, whoever may be like on, you know, closing from the team.
But
That
also,
sucks.
Javi Baez, the cause weed. We're still doing weed suspensions in 2026. Non-smoker speaking, by the way. Like I don't,
Right.
but it's not a serious infraction. Like I know this also from covering boxing. Keyshawn Davis was one of the probably biggest rising stars in the sport, though he's not probably a rising star to many of y'all who don't watch boxing because you're probably like, who the fuck is that? Welcome me here. He fought Nahir Albright a couple years ago, and they took away his victory, narrow victory, took away the victory because he tested positive for marijuana. Look, cocaine is one thing because if you're doing that, you could have an advantage because you're going to be all like hype and shit and like really like super locked in. There's a funny episode on tires about this actually on Netflix. But like that's one thing. Steroids, HGH, the drug that I can't pronounce that extends your stamina. Those are obviously problematic things as it relates to sports and boxing in general. But here, weed, come on, man. Especially now that people got anxiety issues, probably worse than ever, given all the things that you know we're dealing with as a people, understandably so. Probably a useful tool to mellow out, and it was like an old suspension too. So it just
You know,
felt very
what,
petty.
you know, Brian, like one of the things that's wild about it is that like in Major League Baseball, they have significantly relaxed like drug enforcement when it comes to, you know, marijuana and cannabis. Again, I know I give that look, but I am not a partaker. I am, but I am always happy to see people not punished severely for things that are not, you know, not that serious, you know. And so like when Erica Block, shout out Erica Block, she's super incredible, you know, researcher, producer. She had this tweet recently bring up about how,
by the way.
oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
And so Erica brought up that like in Major League Baseball, the relaxation of its rules on weed and cannabis have really helped players to avoid using harder narcotics as a way of easing, like, you know, pain and injury. Like if you can, you know, exactly right. If you can smoke a plant or rub it on that sore spot and get some relief rather than, you know, popping perks, like, you know, which again lead to tragic outcomes at times, as we saw with, you know, Tyler Skaggs and opiates and all that. Like, if you had, you know,
many others,
if you have an option, if you have a better option for that, that's wonderful. Like that's like a good thing that's made MLB better and made lives better for players. And now because this tournament doesn't have like, you know, like the tournament needs to catch up. Like
I wouldn't call weed a performance enhancer. Maybe for a college exam, but like other than that, you know, doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. We have PR, we have Cuba, we have Canada, Panama, and Colombia here. I guess we touched on the biggest thing to that you're sort of monitoring here, which would be how PR does. That's obviously going to be the thing for me. So we can move on to Group B unless there's anything else to throw out here. I'm just going to say that I expect PR to move on. I think they should win this group, and I'll be a little bit alarmed if they don't. And the other thing that I'm looking out for as it pertains to their roster is, and this is why this felt so big. You're hosting, you have this side of the bracket, and you can't bring all your players. And then it's like, I don't know what the next WBC is going to look like because a lot of our best players or core guys are getting a little bit older, and we don't have a ton of young prospects relative to like our Dominican counterparts, for example. So that's something I'm a little nervous about.
Yeah, I'll just say, you know, one thing I'm very interested to see is I'm interested to see Alexi Ramirez, who's going to be the starting shortstop for Cuba. Alexi Ramirez was a pretty good player, like not great, but pretty good, you know, pretty good MLB career. Like you know, in like 2010, you know, like the early 2010s.
There was a time where I wanted the Mets to trade for him. I'm sure.
Right there, you go. You know, yeah, use a very respectable starting shortstop. He is 44 years old. I just want to see what his lateral movement's like, and I want to see like how you work around that.
Yeah,
at 44. And that's honestly what's one of the cool things about world play is that you see guys who like, oh yeah, I remember him. Can he still like do anything? Like, and I mean no shade by it, but I can't avoid the shady soundingness of the take here. But I actually really do. Again, I enjoy that you reshuffle the decks, kind of like when you're playing a video game and you do like a fantasy draft.
Yeah,
like, you know, and you just kind of have to play, you know, who you got, and I just think that's cool. Like
last WBC when I saw the Cuban national team, speaking of, and I saw Yoenis Cespedes on the roster, I was like, oh, he's still out here, huh? As somebody who, look, he single-handedly brought the Mets to the World Series, or at least brought them to the playoffs in 2015. So I'm always gonna have a soft spot for him. Yeah, like he 17 home runs in the last 2 months of the season after the trade. I was watching the team like, yo, they need a bat and then they could compete. And then he's like, watch this. And then Daniel Murphy in the playoffs was just ridiculous. But like that's sort of, yeah, I'm very, very interested to see this group. And obviously I'm very interested to see, I know the Puerto Rican crowd's going to bring it. Hiram Bithorn Stadium, I know they're going to bring it also.
Oh man. Can't wait for that.
Great. It's going to be great. Right now, in terms of betting odds, if you're somebody who's interested in that, they're fourth after USA, DR, and Japan, all of whom we'll get to in a bit. Okay, that's Group A. Do you want to give a formal prediction as to who advances? I'm going to say PR and.
No, I'm gonna give it to I'm gonna give Puerto Rico and Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia. I know Canada's making a push, but we'll see.
Yeah, Canada's got a squad more than usual.
Yeah,
you know, and Freddie's playing, I believe. So that's cool, but you know, but also Freddie's 37. Like he can't be doing this forever, right? I say that as a bitter Yankees fan who watched him tee off on in 2024 in the World Series, but you know, so that's copium. My bad.
Pool B,
PR in Colombia.
I'm with you. Pool B. Here we go. USA, who people are very excited about this year, which I have a hard time. You know what? Let me just mention the rest of the group first. Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. Of course, they get the cupcake-ass group. No disrespect to anybody in here, but this should clearly be USA and Mexico. This should very easily be USA and Mexico advancing.
Yeah. We don't need to keep you on the edge of your seat here. Like you see the flags, you know the players. Like that's kind of is what it is.
Yeah, USA has one title, and everyone's like, "Oh, you know, hockey." So now it's going to be world dominance, and I don't feel great about people saying such things as, you know, we're swanton bombing into war with Iran. But USA team is good. Mexican national team is, I would say, charismatic. What's the main thing you're looking? It could be on the field, off the field. Lord knows with this group, I'm probably looking at more off the field things. But what's the thing that you're going to be locked in on the most with this group?
Yeah, I mean, I will briefly keep it on field here. Is the United States, which you know, that's a Freudian slip right there,
yeah, right?
Like, with Aaron Judge, but like the United States has a embarrassment of pitching riches that they did not last time around. Obviously, it was a great team. They always have a good roster every year because it's, you know, America. But like, and you know, but this year they have really brought like the pitching that they did not have. No Miles McCullough ass, like, you know, number 4 starters, you know, out here trying to, like, you know, win a tournament. Like, but like everyone's a heater. So much so that Tarek Skubal is apparently pitching 1 game and he's dipping. And even though it's kind of messed up, that I feel like you should have just given the spot to somebody else. Like if you're going to pitch 1 start against like England, right. Like you know, baseball capital world, Great Britain. But like,
definitely not cricket.
But you're losing the 2-time Cy Young award, and you're not even like breaking a sweat. because it's still Skeens. It's still like, you
Skeens,
know,
Nolan McLean,
yes.
like, I mean, this team is ridiculous. Clay Holmes is here.
Yeah.
Clayton Kershaw, one
For
last
those
hurrah for him.
for those who maybe weren't watching the Mets in September, I don't blame you, but the bright light
I
was
was.
Nolan McLean and how good he was. Like, even though that's not a name that you don't know, that's something that's pretty exciting, is that you will know that name this year, because when the U.S. very likely goes far in this tournament, you're going to see him take the bump and really shove.
Not to mention, Kyle Raleigh just happens to be the catcher,
Oh,
which,
yes.
like, I just, it's a ridiculously, like, I mean, Bryce Harper, I mean, no one's surprised that he was going to be back on this team. He was
Yeah.
going to, like,
And,
regardless.
and what is Bryce Harper, the sixth best hitter?
Yeah,
No, I know.
like, it was ridiculous. Like, Aaron Judge, obviously, who a lot of this, it's going to be interesting with Aaron Judge, like, because he's like the guy on this roster. He'll presumably be like one of the MVP contenders, assuming that they win it all. You would expect him to be up there. We'll see. You even have a dude like Pete Crow Armstrong, who I remember from the Mets farm system once upon a time.
You don't get Javi Baez, but you do get Pete Armstrong.
Yeah.
Wow, it's like life imitating your Mets fandom here.
I had Pete Crow Armstrong on my fantasy team last year. He was bombing away home runs until they just stopped in like August at some point or whenever that was. Byron Buxton, who, if he can stay healthy, I mean, like Roman Anthony, obviously, who's like Bill Simmons' favorite baseball player right now. Like, this team is ridiculous. That being said, it's a small sample size. Like, these aren't 7-game series. I always tell people, like, even as it pertains to the Olympics, and why I'm always like, yo, Team USA could have their arrogance with basketball, and I understand it. You have great players, you have talented players, but you still leaned on the old guys a lot last year. And these tournaments are closer to March Madness than they are like the NBA or MLB playoffs.
Yep,
like these
absolutely.
are very small sample sizes.
And the MLB playoffs are very random too. But like this is more so. Like, I remember, listen, when we were kids, the Team USA had Roger Clemens, Derek Jeter, and A-Rod like all together, and it didn't matter. Like, they still like lost in like the quarters or something like that. It was like something like kind of like low-key embarrassing, to the point of like, people like pundits were like, is the World Baseball Classic a joke? Your Team USA can't win? Like, actually, no, it's the point of it. Is that the point is that America can't always win. Right. I wish some people would understand that in higher places, but here we are.
All right, USA.
I tried to keep it on the field. I couldn't. Dang.
No, we don't have to. We really don't have to. Like, I listen.
Let me say one more. Let me say one thing.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
Yeah. This is important.
As a kind of a blend between both worlds here. What's that line? I'll serve crack before I serve my country, right? Like, I'm not a patriot, but I was a very, but I typically would root for, Team USA in these international tournaments as a American person. One of the things that I always was able to cling to, though, was I love seeing, the Black American talent really shine. Like, I think of that Adam Jones catch in the 2017 WBC, or Giancarlo Stanton, one of my favorite hitters to watch. I really enjoyed that. And it's disappointing beyond all the both domestic and geopolitical issues I have with how business is being run here. It's sad to see how white this team is. I just give it a buck. Like, it's not that they're not really great, like it is, but it's like, again, it's a microcosm of just broader and more frustrating issues I have in seeing the absence of Black American talent cultivated in this country, around Major League Baseball, or high level baseball, which is, again, nothing to say. Of course, I'm thrilled to see the way the game is going internationally, and seeing the Asians and the Latinos, dominate in this sport, both domestically and abroad. But it's sad, I mean, as a Black American, to not see that anymore. Not see that to nearly the same amount. And yes, I know Aaron Judge is a very light skinned Black man. But like, it's significantly reduced relative to the, Brian Buxton's on that team too, if I'm not mistaken as well.
But I think that's it.
Yeah,
to your point.
That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like, it was also Marcus Stroman, I want to say, starting too.
Yes,
on Team USA in 2017. Like, it was different.
At the risk of launching a grenade into this and keeping us here for too long, I do have to follow up with: do we think that this is deliberate from either side? Like, do we think they didn't ask enough black players to be, because there are other black players who could be on this team? Do we think they didn't ask them, or do we think also the black players are like, you know what? I don't know how I feel about representing Team USA right now. I don't think it's the latter.
I don't think most
players around, like, people around the league. So I wanted to ask you this.
Yeah, no, my sense among, the people who I've gotten to know, being in locker rooms, is that like, I don't think most people are on my wavelength. I've talked to black players who are like, yeah, I'll play, for Team USA. Even people who share my, sort of like political concerns, like, they're like, but yeah, and frankly, again, if I could throw 98, it would be hard for me to say no too, Right. Now again, if like, team, I don't know, Ghana, like starts popping, and, like, that would be cool. Like, and to see maybe some African Americans join that the same way, Jazz Chisholm can somehow play for Great Britain. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Right? Like, that's my lineage. So, but that's an aside. I think that black players, the black players who could hoop, so to speak, were asked, and and some made the cut and some didn't. But there's not that many who are on that upper echelon at this point, which again is following trends that have existed, for the last 30 years, frankly.
Yeah. That's a conversation probably worth having at length. We will keep it moving to Group C, excuse me, just to not beat people over the head with this. But I do agree on all the points. And all 16 pitchers appear to be white on this team. Okay, neither here nor there. Group C. This one has Japan in it, and South Korea, and Taiwan. Group C is, first of all, unfair, like how Czech Republic is like, you know what, y'all can go to Asia. Like, y'all can go to the Tokyo Dome. Australia, I mean, in international competition, Australia and New Zealand tend to play with the Asian countries. They just lumped in Asia and Oceania together. Like, even for like FIBA, for the World Cup, for the Olympics, like, they're always like, the qualifying spot is always like Australia, and
it's geographic,
Yeah,
it's just you do want a 24-hour flight, or do you want to, like,
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know what the flight time is from Australia to Japan. I would love to be educated on that. Two places that I want to go to. Japan is just ridiculous. Shohei Ohtani is not going to pitch, but he will hit, and I'm sure he's going to hit really, really well. I expect him to bat, like 1,500. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. And he's had plenty of moments in this tournament as well. It's not just about them, but I mean, we're gonna get two stud teams coming out of this group. So on the field, off the field, I guess what are you looking at here with this group?
So I'll tell you, I think one thing that's interesting about this one, even though again Japan will advance, I'm just gonna, like, again, sorry to leave you in your seat here.
That would be the biggest upset.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, Japan will advance. I would, I think that's a good S&P 500 bet right there, that Japan will advance, as I believe South Korea will too, right? But Japan's pitching isn't what it was in the last tournament, in my opinion. That's my prediction. Like, and Japan has caught up so much to US as far as its developing arms, especially, right? But they don't have the same caliber that they once did. And some of the guys they're depending on are getting a little older, a little rougher. Like you say Kikuchi, for example. He's not shoving like I would have expected maybe 4 years ago. So I think that is kind of the interesting thing to me, is like, can they find the arms that will make them credible in that Final Four?
Other than Yamamoto.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. No disrespect to Yoshi. Truly one of the greats walking among us. But But I'm curious to see like what else is in that roster. What pitchers who I'm not as familiar with as someone who's not watching NBB every day. But I think that the arms are not where they were. I'll say that much. 4 years ago.
I'm hearing them talked about less. You mentioned the S&P 500. It got fucking laid the smackdown today. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh God, no. I saw a tweet that said check your 401k, and I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. The perks of living in a capitalistic society. Anyway, Japan's team is still really good. They're one of the betting favorites to win this whole thing, and they always seem to, at least to the world, for people who aren't watching MVP, as you mentioned, just we uncover talent from this team every year where it's like, oh, this guy's going to be in the majors at some point.
Yes.
And
that's such a cool thing about watching Team Japan every tournament. It's like, oh, here's 3 guys that are going to get posted and,
right,
have $200 million contracts.
Right. After the lockout.
The moment the Dodgers,
I mean, this is where a lot of people learned about Daisuke Matsusaka in 2006. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where he had his breakout. And you could argue in some ways like that kind of, I won't say started all this because there had been, players before, but kind of helped lead to this boom, which is him doing that on this stage. So I'm wondering if we'll get one of those moments.
The World Baseball Classic has been a tremendous showcase for Japanese talent because, again, for those who may not be like baseball fans on the level that me and Brian are, like Japanese talent doesn't go through the same pipeline as like the rest of the world. For most Japanese and South Korea as well. Like most players, they get signed as amateurs. International players, I should say, get signed as amateurs and then funnel into the Major League Baseball minor league system. Japan, most of those players play within the Japanese leagues, and then finally, NPB. And if they ball out hard enough in NPB, then they get the attention from Major League Baseball and get posted and signed, and and then become stars or role players or whatever it may be. Long way of saying is that these World Baseball Classic tournaments are exposure for the American or the Western fan to like know what's happening, like who's actually, like that, over there.
One guy I was reading about was Teraraki Sato. I could be butchering his name, but he had a home run off of Blake Snell in the exhibition, which Dave Roberts took note of. He had 40 home runs this year in the MPB.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, this is probably as good as, if not better than AAA in baseball. Like if you're killing in that league, in theory, you could be brought over and play reasonably well, depending on how you handle the culture shock, obviously. 40 home runs, 102 RBIs.
But the thing to always watch though,
and an 8.6 WAR for whatever that's worth.
the thing to watch though with the Japanese stats though is that the spectrum of pitching is much wider than American. Like for example, like you will have a guy like Yamamoto or Masahiro Tanaka or Otani or whoever it may be, like guys who would be frontline starters, and you'll also have guys who belong in AA, like all in NPB, like top level, and so. So for that reason, translating offense is actually a lot harder than translating pitching. That's why people were split on on the White Sox, Murataka, who's a big time power hitter, because the concern was, can he handle the high velocity? Now, according to people I've talked to, like talent evaluators, they say that the people who are high on him believe that there are adjustments that can be made to his swing that will allow him to survive and become a very productive hitter, which is why, at least again, some of the folks I spoke to were quite hype on him signing with Chicago. But there is like that bust potential because he was doing it while still whiffing a lot. It was hitting a lot of home runs, but whiffing a lot with guys who, some are throwing 97, some are throwing 88. That's just not that is a spectrum that is much wider than American ball.
I'm interested to see who's going to be the second team. We're assuming Japan moves along. It would be ironic if like they don't win because Shohei Ohtani didn't pitch and it's a pitching blunder that actually prevents them from winning this. But South Korea is really good, and obviously Chinese
Yeah.
Taipei.
I mean, it's always cool. It's always cool seeing the Czech Republic out here, given it's like a bunch of like substitute teachers and firemen, literally, apparently. who are that team? There's actually a book coming out about that team. I want to say Michael Clare from MLB.com has it. Shout out Mike. About this team that again, this country is not known for baseball at all. But the randos that formed a credible baseball team that is, it will qualify in 2 straight tournaments now at this point. So that's always nice to see.
They got a top 6 finish in the FIBA World Cup in 2019. So not long, and they were not even probably supposed to get out of the group or the second round. They made it to the knockout stage and they finished in the top 6 and then made it to the Olympics, and they've fallen off tremendously since then. But like, they had a run in basketball, right. So who knows? You just don't know with these tournaments.
And just like the Olympics, 30 some years ago, it's like, who's to say that seeing your country represented in an international tournament, like, is the thing that spurns a boom, like, in your country on the sport, where like kids want to play and they train hard and they end up becoming, credible major league ready talent. Who's to say? Like, and that again, WBC, huge fan. You got to watch it.
Yes. Questions, comments, put them in the chat as we go through this, and predictions welcome as well. All right, Group D. Before we get into just the bracket from Group D, as we wrap up on Group C here, and I will post this here. Pool D, which is one that will garner a lot of attention for a lot of different reasons. First, we'll start with the fun side. Ronald Acuna is a bet with Juan Soto. In which he says, via translation, he said this in Spanish, but if the Dominican Republic wins, he says that he's going to show up to the next game in full DR gear. Ronald Acuna. But if his squad, Venezuela, wins, then Juan Soto is going to be wearing full Venezuela gear. And I'm here to tell you, and I'll play for people who understand Spanish.
Tengo una apuesta con Soto, la gente no sabe. ¿Cuál es la apuesta? Tengo una apuesta, por ejemplo, si gana Dominicana, yo tengo que llegar vestido dominicana al siguiente día para el juego. Y si gana Venezuela, tiene que llegar él. Sí, esa es la apuesta.
Represented by Bad Bunny, by the way, Rema Sports. Okay. Pool D, DR Venezuela, Netherlands, Nicaragua, and redacted.
Listen, the name of the country is Israel. It is the name of the country. Like, if you open a book, it says it's Israel. It didn't always say that. That's the part that is important to include.
A lot of people
Matt did not always say Israel, but whatever.
A lot of people are not happy about this, about their inclusion in this tournament. A lot of people are also not happy that they competed in Eurobasket last year. And they were confused by that. And it's like, listen, in international play, they do compete with European teams, as does Turkey, despite, they could play in Asia technically, but they play in Europe as well. EuroLeague has multiple teams from Israel as well who compete every year in the EuroLeague. So they qualified for this via the qualifiers in Europe. Russia's been banned from competition, as I've talked about before, as it pertains to basketball. I'm not sure if they're banned from baseball, but they're probably.
Oh yeah, they're banned from baseball too.
They're banned from baseball.
I was looking into this the other day. Like,
so okay, I thought they were
pretty much all international play. Russia is like,
yeah, I know they were. I was struggling to remember if they still were, but yeah, I guess there's no reason to, but. I do think there's a little bit of a lack of consistency there, as it pertains to why they're banned. But
what's funny, man? It's like, well, there's kind of two things happening. One is that there's this there's this rule that's not really a rule called the Olympic truce. You ever heard of it?
Okay. Yes. Was this from Go ahead, actually, before I get
Oh, good. So the Olympic truce has existed for, in as a sort of way of avoiding conflict during international play, particularly the Olympics.
Yes.
And the way it works is that the United Nations, they introduce like shortly before a major international tournament, usually Olympics, like, hey, no fighting between this time and this time before and after the Olympics happen.
Yeah.
And
good luck with that.
And so what Russia did is that they invaded Ukraine shortly before, like, the start of, I guess it was the Winter Olympics in 22, I want to say. And because of that, like, it fell within the boundaries of the Olympic truce. However, back in, 90s, kids will remember, maybe, right? When in the early aughts, the United States was waging war with Afghanistan. They did not suspend it during Olympic play in 2004. If they did, maybe we wouldn't have the embarrassment of that basketball team.
You're welcome.
So yeah, once again, proud to be American. At least I get to watch.
Thank you, Carlos Arroyo. Now fix the national team, please.
Right.
Got a comment about PR. I'll get to it in a second.
But look, that yes, there is a sort of guideline and framework for this stuff, but it frequently gets broken by the United States and Israel. Now, again, we'll see if the United States, I don't know, invades Cuba, like, or something, in the next few days.
How awkward would it be?
Because then that makes it relevant again, as far as the previous president of the Olympic truce to be like, yo, World Baseball Classic, like, what's going on here? Or again, World Cup or something like that, if it pertains to that. But like, that is, it's a highly permeable guideline that seems to be defined heavily by the global imperial powers that be, which, again, in the world we live in, are United States and their close ally Israel. So anyway, all I'll say is, long list saying that Israel may not have broken the rules technically, but many would argue that the spirit has been broken, given what they have done and continue to do.
I don't know if people know this. I don't know if people know there have been boycotts before for the Olympics, for example. Like, there have been boycotts, especially during days of the Soviet Union. There were countries boycotting, countries plural, like several dozens at times, boycotting their inclusion. There were other people boycotting because America was included. Like, there have been boycotts on all these different tournaments. This is why I'm so fascinated by the World Cup being in the United States this summer, which is another thing that's like, we have the World Baseball Classic, the World Cup is coming up, the FIBA World Cup, not the FIFA World Cup. The FIBA World Cup is going to be next year in Qatar, which I believe is pronounced Qatar, actually. And then the Olympics, before you know it, is in 2028. So, like, and there are people who are like, oh, you can't mix sports and politics. You can't mix sports and politics. Are you seeing, like, the government accounts dunking on Canada because of the Winter Olympics? Do you think they're not going to do the same if the United States plays Venezuela and beats them in the gold medal game for this? Like, it's like, you just can't avoid it. Like, you can't avoid it, and you're honestly doing a disservice to people if you're not talking about these things. That being said, as far as the actual baseball, I do not think Israel's going to advance. When you have DR, Venezuela, shit, and the Netherlands, who are sneaky, like, better than you think, but anything but Venezuela and DR would surprise me in this bracket. And I am interested to see Bradford, just like from a baseball and also non-baseball standpoint. This is in Lone Depot Park, so it's Miami. So, Miami's a little bit more off the wall lately, but how Israel's received, because I was watching and covering Eurobasket last year, and I would see games where people would boo them during games. Now, they would lean into it because, reasons, but
there might be a little bit of a civil war going on, because Miami and South Florida is a very, Jewish community. So like, I don't know. I mean, I've never been there.
Melting pot. It's a many things community. So I Dominican Republic, Venezuela, like
of course.
Who's their
Everything.
first game against? Their first game is against Venezuela, and there's gonna be a lot of people from Venezuela there.
Yeah, I think I think one thing that's interesting is that Israel does have more talent than last time, and there's like a fantasy roster where they could be quite good, I think, or at least have the ability to advance. And I think the big thing would be if Max Fried was playing on that team this year, because that is, I think inarguably the best Jewish pitcher right now in the league and someone who would qualify. But like, but that's that's what they got is who they got, and they got Harrison Bader, as their best player, and that's
Brad Osmus, manager.
Yeah, that's not cutting it against Dominican Republic, in my opinion, or Venezuela, who has the Acuñas, and
Plural,
just a great a great legacy in history and present of incredible baseball talent. So I expect that,
DR team is ridiculous. I mean, Sandy Alcantara is back on the roster, which Luis Severino. I'm just looking at their pictures right now. Gregory Soto, who Mets fans stand up. Remember him? Huáscar Brazoban, who can throw gas. And that's just the pitching. Like, there are better ones I didn't even name, but just in going through it, obviously, like the main guys you're looking out for is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado, to a lesser extent, Kedel Marte, and Ahmed Rosario also.
Hey, listen, Marte is one of the most underrated players in baseball right now.
I think that's
that
true.
dude. That dude is a boss. He's so good, and it's like, I don't know. And he was in the World Series not too long ago too. And yet, but I don't know, something about the desert and baseball. And
I was going to say, a lot of people didn't watch that World Series is the problem.
I guess not. Yeah, that's it. Didn't have the Dodgers or the Yankees in it, so no one cared. But it was. But Ketel Marte, like that, he's I think at this point he's probably better than Machado, as an infielder.
I agree with that.
And which is that again, Machado's had the better career. He's a Hall of Famer, but Marte is a current like top 5-ish MVP candidate in baseball, like American baseball, like MLB.
And the Venezuela national team is Eduardo Rodriguez is here, Ranger Suarez, and Christian Suarez, as a matter of fact. Jose Buto, who I have a soft spot for, who's in the Mets system for a while. William Contreras, Salvador Perez, like what? We have two catchers.
We have two great catchers. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Wilson Contreras, Eugenio Suarez, who kind of wanted the Mets to get, but then they ended up getting Jorge Polanco and converted him to first base. We'll see how that goes. Andres Jimenez, speaking of former Mets, Ronald Acuna Jr. Albert Pujols is managing the Dominican squad. By the way, I just wonder how I'd like to know if he's a good manager, on this level.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that.
I'm very curious about like when you see like these guys who have never done this before, like all of a sudden, like being playing games that are like both like maybe again not important in the vacuum of MLB, but very important as far as the meaning to everyone who plays for them, as well as millions of people watching at home. So that's high stakes. That's high stakes to do like your first, like being thrown into the ALCS and it's your first game managing ever. Like, I don't know. That's a lot.
Have you seen who Venezuela's pitching coach is, by the way?
Who is it?
Johan Santana.
Ooh.
That has to be the Johan Santana. He's not pictured here for some reason. I'm like, what? You couldn't get a headshot of Johan Santana?
Was it? Yeah, no, Johan's. Johan's. I think the best Venezuelan pitcher ever.
Probably. Yeah.
I think like empirically, right?
Yeah. Also, by the way, one of the best Mets pitchers of the last 25.
Absolutely.
This century.
But yeah, Johan.
He gave
Johan
up his career for a no hitter.
Like 1-2.
Yeah, he gave up his career for a no hitter. Like, Once he threw that no hitter, that was it. It was over, unfortunately. So we think Venezuela and DR come around, and curious to see how people react to Israel, because that's something you just can't ignore.
Yeah,
Honestly.
you know it, and like and that's the thing. Like when you go on social media, and it's honestly sad to see too, because like on one hand, like I mean, it shouldn't have to be said, but I do want to say it. Like your nations do not represent all the people who exist in it, or all the people who claim a similar ethnic identity. So my critiques of Israel do not, not apply to all people who either
Yes,
live in Israel or who are Jewish. So like,
just the
but
government.
like yes, but with that's and so it's sad to see both, like to see like just like pretty gutter anti-Semitism whenever anything is tweeted about Team Israel at this point.
Yeah.
But like there's also a lot of funny and totally accurate comments about like the things that Team Israel puts out there. Like one of the things that they tweeted something about like Israel and the World Baseball Classic goes together like I don't know, schnitzel and pita. And I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all gonna get like roasted for that, like for like naming European foods while claiming you're indigenous. Like like kind of earn that one. Or more specifically, like I think someone was like an influencer was trying, and this is not on Team Israel per se, but they were trying foods from every nation, and they tried falafel. Falafel is not Palestinians have a problem with you calling falafel an inherently Israeli delicacy. That's but like, so maybe the answer is they should just focus on the X's and O's and stop tweeting anything else.
I think that would be smart. I think that would be smart.
I don't know.
It's especially in that position. I wouldn't try to lean into like memes. You know what I mean? Like, given what's going to come back at you, increasingly in an unpopular direction. By the way, okay, couple comments here. M. Colazo 215 says, "I'm going to PR for Pool A." Okay.
Oh, congratulations!
Absolutely.
So happy for you.
Yeah, no, legitimately. I also think the scary game for Los Rubios is game 1 against former Met Jose Quintana. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. If he helps steal game 1, PR could be 2-1 going into the Canada game on Tuesday. Thoughts? Okay, let's actually pull back up. This is a great comment, and then we got another one after. They do have Colombia, which is not going to be easy. I'm kind of glad that they're getting that one out the way. If they win, I'll feel better. But I do think, like, yeah, this game with Canada is strategically placed here. I probably, in setting the schedule, probably would have had them end with Colombia just for the theater. But yeah, I think the problem is if you lose to Canada, you can't just then assume, hey, you're definitely going to be Panama, even though you should, and you're definitely going to be Cuba, even though you probably should. So that's the danger of it. Like, I think Colombia, like in a tournament where you have 5 teams per group and 2 advance, not 3 or 4. We don't go to a round of 16. You go from 20 to 8. It's important there. So if only 2 advance from the group, like, yeah, you have to win every game possible. Once you lose one, like, you can't mess around anymore. So I think that game is imperative. Like, it's so important to win.
Yeah, I think one of the things I had heard about particularly spring baseball, because remember, this is like just like an extremely lit spring training as far as like developmentally for all the athletes and playing, is that the hitting takes a little longer to catch up than pitching as far as like your timing and everything. At least that's what what athletes and coaches have told me in the past about spring. And so I can imagine that Jose Quintana game actually being kind of a sneak game, given Quintana is not obviously a superstar pitcher, but he knows what he's doing out there. He's got great command, and he could fool you.
He can give you 6 good innings.
Yeah, and so probably won't give you 6 because they're
sure 5.
They're on pitch counts,
maybe 5.
Yeah, three, but those 3 innings you'll shove, or 4 innings, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the point, point being just is that like he seems like someone who could take advantage of bats who are still getting their timing right. You know what I'm saying? That is, I think, a very astute point from our commenter.
Guys who want to get guys who are hyped up by the crowd also and may go golfing instead of actually playing baseball, like actually taking deep cuts. I mean, this is something Javi Baez would do if he were in a tournament. Like, I'd be nervous about him striking out every at bat.
Blessing this, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking.
Flu Season Media says Italy is a sleeper. Let's pull back up Italy's bracket, as a matter of fact. Also says Canada PR is going to be a good one. Says Italy learned the run rule the hard way in 23.
Yo, that's Flu. You're not. Yo, good to see you, bro. It's not. You're not wrong, man. Like they're honestly a lot like Israel in the sense of like, it's a bunch of white Americans.
Be careful with the comparison.
Like no, but really, like it's white people who live in this country who nonetheless have an affinity for that country, who are playing, who have a path into, World Baseball Classic. I'm just keeping it a buck, but it doesn't mean they're not talented. Like, and that, and so there are like actual dudes out there, who
Aaron Nola.
Like,
Michael
I mean, Nola had a tough year last year, but like, but if he bounces back in the way that he's done over his career, like that's a really good pitcher. Like that's a really, really good arm to have fronting your staff. Was it Pasquantino? Over in Pasquantino over with the Royals, very good slugger. Like, they got like, they've got actual big leaguers who in a short series with, a short tournament style play could do some damage. And I could totally see, a path, if US and Mexico, farts out, which is highly unlikely. But if you have a bad couple of games, that Italy will be the team to sneak in my opinion.
Somebody's got to pull off an upset. Like somebody's got to be the surprising team. He says if Italy beats Mexico, we got action. I mean, I would agree with that. So let's actually look at this real quick. Italy plays Brazil first. I would call that winnable. I would call Great Britain winnable. So in theory, if I'm rolling with Flu Season's hypothesis of them being a sleeper, like you can be 2-0 going into the United States and Mexico, and if Italy can split that, then hey, like you actually have a decent pathway. You have to win those first two games, though. You have to win. So all my Italian homies, you have to win those first two games. This is going to be where? This is going to be in Houston. They would put the United States in Texas. Hey, I'm glad they put Mexico there. That's going to USA versus Mexico. Whew, that's March 9th, the day Biggie died.
Yeah.
That's going to be one of the last games in this group. That one I have circled. USA, Mexico, PR versus Colombia. DR versus Venezuela, Japan versus South Korea and Taiwan, and Chinese Taipei versus South Korea. Like there's just Australia, by the way, is another team too, where they're in a really tough group, but like them having a decent performance wouldn't stun me. I'll just put that out there. So this is what the bracket will look like after. Obviously, you'll have your winners of the group of each group and the runners up, I believe, from each group as well. A versus B. So A in first place beats second place. C and D, same thing. Semifinals March 15th and 16th, and then the final on March 17th. So this will be all over in 2 weeks, which I'm very, very interested to see how it goes. I will just add one more thing. This is what we're expecting in terms of, or not expecting, but this is where Vegas has the odds. Team USA is a favorite from an American sportsbook, not unexpected. -110. That also means a bunch of people here are probably betting on Team USA because it was not this number before. Japan second, Dominican Republic third, Venezuela 4. PR's moved back a little bit. PR was fourth. They were fourth, so that's interesting. They're plus 1,800 now. Mexico's 2,200. Mexico's power ranking was higher than PR's in, I think, an MLB.com power ranking of the best teams in the tournament. PR was 6th behind Mexico. So Yeah.
But just like Flu said, look, Italy is in that top half of the odds.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Brazil's all the way at the end. You better beat them. Great Britain too.
Sorry, Dante Bichette Jr. Should have had little bro come with you.
I'm surprised Chinese Taipei is this low, but maybe they suck in the tournament. I don't know. Look, it's a short tournament, so that's just.
I mean, like they love baseball in Taiwan, but there's not a lot of like MLB stars.
Yeah,
currently, like
they peak in Little League.
Yeah. That's gold. Hey man, yo, I'm sorry, Chime Wong, if you're watching this. Like, we still love and remember you.
All right. As we're wrapping this up here, and remember FIBA qualifiers. I'm going to talk about that when Bradford gets out of here. Some basketball stuff, just to update people on the qualifiers. But that's going to be quick. Anything else you want to say on the way out here? Anything else we missed as it pertains to the World Baseball Classic here, and anything else you feel is worth touching up on before you get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, among teams that interest me, we didn't really get into the Netherlands, but that has long been a pipeline, for great baseball talent. Just speaking as a homer, I'm excited to see my guy Didi Gregorius play again. It's been a minute, but he was a very good Yankee in the previous decade. I'm interested to see, if they can make a little bit of noise, at least in the first round. Not expecting them to make a deep run, but they're the kind of team that could put a couple of things together, and you'll see what happens. But as far as just kind of big picture thoughts on the Classic, again, like tournaments like this ought to be a sign that we can enjoy and coexist with each other and have fun, even while trash talking. And we did a lot of trash talking here. Like, I know I said some things that were not kind to many people's favorite teams, but this tournaments should be a real example to all of us that we can exist, that we can maintain our own identities and cultures while coexisting peacefully with others. And that's really beautiful. It is a real shame that the world that we live in does not reflect the beauty that we get to see out in Houston and in Miami and Puerto Rico and Japan. I certainly hope and pray that that the leaders of, again, the imperial rulers of this, of the Western Hemisphere get their acts together and in a way that makes us worthy of hosting and leading a tournament as great as the World Baseball Classic. We're not there right now, but hey, enjoy the game.
No disagreement from me. And if you follow me at all, you know where I'm at with shit. So no surprise there. I also hope that I just hope the tournament goes well. It would be nice for a lot of people to enjoy this amid everything going on. But the problem is that there are still things going on, and there always seems to be. Like, this was the case during the Olympics. This was the case during the various Continental Cups last year, the Eurobasket, namely, but also the AmeriCup, rather, the Asia Cup, and Afrobasket as well. You have the FIFA World Cup later this summer and the FIBA World Cup 2027. So we'll see what happens. Bradford, thank you. You and I will meet up in person again, because I haven't seen you in a while. Very, very soon.
Yo,
this
man,
week, as a matter
too
of fact.
long.
I'm looking forward to that. ReadIBlack.com. I'll put it one more time here on the ticker. BWD, BWD on social media, and also BlueSky as well. Gotta have a BlueSky account now. I'm on there as well. Now I'd like for them to have more features, which is why I would post there more often. But like you still can't post videos that are like bigger than 100 megabytes. So come on, BlueSky. Like we want you to
Look,
be.
I'll say this about BlueSky. BlueSky is very useful for like nerdy journalists like me.
Same.
Because it does not suppress links over on X, the everything app, and Meta, and LinkedIn, and Facebook, and whatever. Choose your app, Threads. They all suppress links, but it's nice that if I have something I want to share, something I've written, or something I'd like you to watch, like today, like there's one app that will not punish you for putting the link in your post, and that's BlueSky. Now it gets a little weird there. It's a lot of people who are like real anal, real anxious, and constantly debating things they shouldn't debate. But I do appreciate that they don't suppress links, and the general culture of BlueSky is we don't really like, the Nazis over on X.
Right.
That's like it's not. It don't got every. It's still not what Twitter was, and even in some ways, Twitter still is. Twitter's funnier. But BlueSky,
yes.
But I appreciate that lots of people from different communities who are not treated well, on social media, which frankly also, I see I got some crazy replies these days. But like, but people even further down on the so-called, I guess, not even so-called, I'm just coming up with names but like the cultural food chain, our brother, LGBT brothers, and people like that, like I'm grateful that there is a place where your identity in and of itself is not does not put a target on your back in the same way. And so I'm on BlueSky, and that's a cool place to hang.
Yeah.
If you're into that.
I second all that. Thanks, Bradford. Appreciate it. We'll talk again very soon. We will talk again very soon. That is Bradford William Davis. Follow him. Read Eye Black as well. All right. Let's bring in the guys who Danny, I know you definitely want to get into some World Baseball Classic stuff, so let's do that. And then Antonio as well, who was here for this conversation. Okay. Danny, anything I missed as it pertains to the World Baseball Classic?
Outside of like just the simple haha funnies are like Soto doing the shuffle, Soto and Tatis being teammates again, and Wells and
something else. Actually, you want me to put that?
What I put is not WBC related, but I think it's absolutely hilarious because it's a John Heyman tweet about Jerickson Pro.
Hold on. I'll put it on the screen. I'll put it on the Summer Jam screen.
Okay, good. Because also Puerto Rico beat Boston, so that was fun. Anywho, yeah.
This from John Heyman.
This is from John Heyman, man.
Who? Listen, I do technically work with and have edited plenty of his stories. At my day job. Jerickson Profar is an excellent candidate for the Mount Rushmore of baseball cheats. If he had any integrity, he'd return the half year of pay he got last year. Because if you missed it, he tested positive for a banned substance and will be suspended for 162 games. And if you're doing the math, that's an entire season. And that's strike number 2, if I'm not mistaken. Number three, you ain't coming back from.
Back to back seasons, bro. Mr. Irrelevant, they called him. Mr. Comeback Story, they called him. Bro is banned from baseball.
World Baseball Classic predictions, Danny, aka Future.
USA Japan. It's USA Japan. I'm sorry, but that's just it. I don't
want chalk. That's really what it is. This
isn't chalk. Let's look at the reality. You have Japan versus DR. Who are you going to take over? Who takes who?
If you have Japan versus DR?
Yeah, that's probably going to be the semifinal.
I mean, DR could win that. I'm not going to say
DR could win.
They could, but I don't think they will.
Well, I have to get there first. That's why I'm only sticking to group right now, because this is going to be a recurring thing. We'll touch on this again next.
And for the semifinals with the U.S., who's beating them?
We'll touch on this again next week. And it just occurred to me now that March 17th, the day this ends, is a Tuesday. So it looks like we'll be going on immediately after the World Baseball Classic ends.
Oh, yeah. And when I got the post-game shows the next 3 days, we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
So if people needed the betting odds once more.
Yes, they do.
USA, Japan, DR, Venezuela, PR, Mexico. That probably ends the list of teams who realistically I think can get to the finals. And it's most likely going to be, to your point, I would say USA and Japan or DR. I'm not going to just say Japan because I think DR could do it. I think Venezuela is good too, by the way.
Venezuela is a sleeper. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I look at Venezuela as a sleeper, but they're weaker than last year. That's why I don't look at them as like, oh yeah, I can go with like the possibility. Like Puerto Rico and Venezuela got incredibly weaker. Italy got somewhat stronger, but but like again, it's like marginal. And USA has a dream squad.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, minus the fact that Noah McLean will not be pitching in pool play and will only pitch in the finals if we make it there, if the USA makes it there.
Antonio, Antonio, what are your thoughts? Just the we threw me off a little bit. But...
Yeah. Okay, fine. Then me, myself, and I.
He's just going to be out there batting with them.
I can't even tell you the last time I referred to Team USA teams.
Well, guess what? Then I'm staying alone because I was breaking up those teams.
Maybe women's soccer. Antonio, what right. What are your thoughts on the World Baseball Classic? People are gonna take that comment seriously. Like, relax over there. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for it. Just to not say USA and Japan in the final, I do want DR to like make some splash. That's who I'm rooting for. Really, this tournament.
Well, your team isn't in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But anyway.
Yeah. Listen. But no, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited for the games. I was trying to watch some of like the preseason like
exhibitions,
the expeditions, earlier today. Couldn't find any of them because apparently they're all on MLB, like the exclusive stuff. So
famously never anal with this stuff. MLB based.
They didn't even televise the Yankees versus Panama.
Yeah.
What was the final to that, by the way?
11-1. They mercy ruled them.
I thought so.
Yeah. Bad.
Yeah. That's a Little League Baseball score, by the way. That's a Little League Baseball mercy rule score. I'm looking forward to the tournament. I just hope that it's a good tournament, and I hope that we get some surprises because there's a lot of fun teams that are upset minded who probably won't.
I just need fun baseball. I really just
need it. I'm with that.
Because what's it called? I'm heavily going Team USA this year only because one, Judge. Like let's not beat around the bush. Judge,
Yankee fan. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, and then it's the only time I get to experience what would have been if Harper would have been a Yankee with Judge and Harper as a duo. So,
that's true.
So you could sit here and crab on me for repping the red, white, and blue stripes, but I got a valid reason to.
Yeah,
I got a valid reason. I got two star players that should have been teammates years ago, but like it's the first time I get to root for both of them on the same team. So you can't.
Also, look, it's a baseball team. It's a baseball team. It's a baseball team you're rooting for, to be clear. So I don't think there's.
It's more the baseball than the politics for me. Yeah. I've completely erased the politics from this. This is my sport. This is my love. This is my passion. I do not care.
Be careful. Before I pivot to FIBA, more international affairs. I do, like I said, like I talked about with Bradford, I do wonder how certain teams will be perceived. Love the PR is getting the host. Don't know how that's going to go. I know the crowd's going to bring it, but I kind of wish that the team would have more of their best players. But that being said, I'm excited for the tournament. I always am. And I do hope that, as Bradford said, like I do hope we get some really good baseball for many reasons, most of which is we probably need it right now. But some damn good games I've circled, as I mentioned. Like the pools are, I think, I like the way they're structured. The pool with Japan, Australia, Chinese Taipei, and South Korea is ridiculous First of all, Japan should win that, but at the same time, these are small sample sizes. Beyond that, you have like PR, Colombia, and it's just crazy. DR versus Venezuela is going to be interesting there. Um, there's so many good teams in this. So, and the players give a shit. And that's something I haven't mentioned that is the point that I always bring up. But like, yeah, a lot of these players, especially the ones from like Latin America, they care about this shit more than the World Series. And people who really like diehard baseball fans who are American mostly, in this instance, like they're surprised by that. But it's like, no, like, listen, dudes want to win more for their country than or their people rather, I should say, because it's not like their country's government or what have you. It's like their people, their culture, their community want to win more for them than like Cincinnati.
You're watching the sport for the culture, the vibes, and the love of the game. You're not watching it because of the issues that go on with your respective governments or what's going on. You're watching it for the love of the game.
Mhm.
And that's just something that that needs to be said throughout, regardless on what you believe. You gotta love it for the love of the game. Don't get me wrong. You can have your political differences regardless, but let the game be the game. Is all I can really say. Let the
Yeah.
game be the game. Have
Yeah.
fun. Have fun.
Yeah. And we'll see if that's going to be the case. Okay.
I hope so. I
Anything-
really hope so.
Anything else before I transition to FIBA wrap up, and then we'll get out of here.
Just one thing. Knicks love to give Toronto that BTA, but that's besides the point.
I was I was peeking over. They're winning at the end of the third quarter 87-82, and then Toronto can't score 20 points in the fourth quarter. That's one matchup where, God, if the Knicks get the Raptors in the playoffs, that's gonna go quickly.
You better sweep, bro.
That's
just
gonna go
end
quickly.
it. End it. Just
That's
end
a
it.
5-game series. It's crazy. Like they just Toronto can't do anything with them. And I think it's really because like there's a basketball reason to this. I think it's because Toronto doesn't shoot threes. What the Knicks are not good at defensively is they struggle at guarding the 3-point line. And you can swing and get them off their spots like a little too easily sometimes, despite the talent that they have on the wings. And overall, just the size that they have at different positions, not point guard, but other positions, wings, bigs. And Toronto just wants to get downhill because that's what they do. Like RJ Barrett wants to get downhill. Brandon Ingram wants to slash, pull up from the mid-range. Scotty Barnes wants to get downhill, but that plays into the Knicks' hands because it's like you're getting downhill and then Mitchell Robinson's right there or OG Anunoby's right there. And it's like it's just Mikal Bridges, if he's actually playing well, like he could play the passing lanes really well. Like, and Toronto just they don't make the Knicks' life hard on defense. They make it quite easy. It's that, and then rebounding, they can't seem to keep up with them. Jakob Puerto, who looks better as of late, but is not like you can't rebound with that team. You can't rebound with Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns. They're going to sit Mitchell Robinson tomorrow against the Oklahoma City Thunder. By the way, watch along for that tomorrow night on the Post channel, Knicks Thunder. Mitchell Robinson probably not going to play. Definitely not going to play. But we'll see what happens otherwise. Wouldn't surprise me if they sat Josh Hart too, just because.
We'll see. I guess we will see. We
We'll
will
see.
see.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap up on some FIBA talk. Thank you guys as always. Appreciate it. As always, every week we'll hear from them and more going forward. Okay. Let's bring up the FIBA brackets that I have saved up here somewhere. For people who don't know, the FIBA World Cup, as I've covered on this channel a bunch of different times, FIBA World Cup is every 4 years. The last one was 3 years ago now, 2023. That was the year before the Olympics in 2024. So FIBA World Cup is going on. Next one is going to be next year. Qualifying for it is underway. It actually started in November. And the windows are just every few months or so. It's November, and the windows are basically like every team plays 2 games. Every team plays 2 games. Whoever qualified to be at this point. November 2025, February 2026, which is what we just wrapped up on. And it bled into March. It actually ended yesterday. And then the next window will be the last of the first round because everyone who qualified for the first round plays 6 games. That ends in June. June, July, late June, early July, depending on where you are in the world. Then from there, you have the teams who qualify from round 2 in all the brackets pretty much. There's groups of 4, 3 advance to the next round. And then if you get to round 2, you play your qualifying games August of this year. There's 2, November of this year, and then February of next year. And then we'll know who's going to be in the World Cup. Hopefully that was easy to follow. And basically, we're going to know based on who advances at that point. Europe sends 12 teams, 32 make it to the World Cup. Europe sends 12 because they have the most teams. Asia plus Australia and New Zealand and Fiji if they qualify, so on and so forth. But Asia sends 8. The Americas send 7. That's North America, South America, the Caribbean. And then Africa sends 5. So that's how it works. So we will go bracket by bracket. And we will actually start with Europe. Europe is going to send 12 teams again to the World Cup, as they do. And this is how it looks so far. Okay, I'm going to make myself smaller now so you can see this. First round. So we have, and I'm going to do more explaining than analyzing here because honestly, like the analysis will come once we're done with round 1 in the summer in June, July. So this is how it's going to be. And then I'll clip this off and post it for people. So we'll start off with Europe here. Round 1, you have Spain advancing already. Spain, you expect to see in the World Cup. You expect them to be one of the 12 teams. The Ukraine has not yet advanced officially, but they're in position to. And the reason why they haven't yet is because they still have to play Denmark one more time to win that tiebreaker. But let's assume Ukraine will make it to round 2, which is great for the people of Ukraine, obviously. Georgia, also in Group A. So Denmark is probably on the outside looking in here. They lost by 10 to Spain. They had a pretty close game with them. But it is what it is. Spain, Ukraine, Georgia will likely move on from Group A. Okay, Group B. No one has officially advanced yet. Some indigestions there, excuse me. Greece. Thank God my mic was off. Greece is number 1 in this group. Portugal, Montenegro, and then Romania. You would expect Greece, Portugal, and Montenegro to be here. They're all qualified in Eurobasket. Greece tends to be at pretty much every World Cup and obviously many Olympics. Montenegro tends to be in a lot of World Cups. Well, since separating from Serbia. And Portugal, who did have a decent showing in Eurobasket last time, if you recall, they're live here too. And they actually beat Montenegro in their head-to-head. Montenegro, by the way, beat Greece, which was interesting. And then Romania here, they're minus 44 point differential. The tiebreakers, by the way, number 1, it says points, but really it's head-to-head results. That's really the determining factor as it relates to all this in terms of where you rank. But right now, you just want to get into the second round. It's head-to-head results and then point differential. And then points scored if your point differential happens to be tied, which doesn't happen very often. But with small sample sizes, you never know. And then Group C, you have Turkey, who's already advancing. No surprise. They've looked great. They look great in Eurobasket, obviously. They got their first silver in a while. And then you're looking at a World Cup where they didn't even make it to a recent World Cup. So it would be big for them to actually compete here. We'll see what happens. Serbia, Bosnia is the other one who will likely advance here. Switzerland will probably be on the outside looking in. Unfortunately, their point differential is minus 84. And much of that came over a 2-game sample because they lost to Turkey by 25, lost to Bosnia by 24, 3-game sample, excuse me, and lost to Bosnia again by 31 here. They'll be back in action in July. Everyone here will expect Serbia to be the other team that moves on here along with Turkey and Bosnia, and expect Turkey and Serbia to be in the World Cup as well. I would be surprised if either of them aren't, given their basketball pedigree and given what we know about their system. And then in Group D, you have Italy, Lithuania, Iceland, and Great Britain. You would expect Italy and Lithuania to move on. Iceland, Great Britain is interesting. And by the way, On July 5th, they play against each other. So there's a chance that this boils down to that last spot. So Italy is first. They're 3-1, and they play Lithuania, or they've played Lithuania already, beating them 82-81. And they will play again on July 5th, probably for the group. We'll see. It kind of depends on the results before. Lithuania would have to beat Great Britain. They should. But should doesn't always happen in these tournaments, obviously, as you know. So you have Italy, Lithuania, Iceland, Great Britain here. Italy is going to play Lithuania here. That's a matchup to circle. And then Great Britain, Iceland. Moving along. Group E. This one's already determined. We won't spend a lot of time on it. Croatia, who's also looked good in qualifiers. Germany, who's been on just an amazing run. One of the second best program in the world right now, overall, top to bottom. Gold, Eurobasket, made it to the semifinal in the Olympics, won the World Cup in 2023. Just terrific. Before that, performed well in the Olympics in 2021 as well. Got a bronze in Eurobasket in 2022. Like, Germany's been just a steady elite level program, and we'll see as they enter the next iteration of their build where they're going to be. Croatia is going to be somebody who honestly needs to start playing like better, more consistently, but they've had a strong showing so far. And then Israel is moving on as well. Cyprus has been getting their ass whooped in this group, honestly, to be expected. And in July, a game you might want to circle, Israel against Germany and Israel against Croatia. I'm sure many of you will be interested in that. Group F, Poland, they're going to win this group. You have the Netherlands, you have Latvia, and you have Austria. I'd be stunned if Latvia, given their success lately, their level of success that they've had over the last few years with their program, strong showing in the 2023 World Cup as well. And then they obviously were a factor in Eurobasket last year. We'll see what happens with Latvia this time around, but I would anticipate that they would advance, but they have a big game against the Netherlands that they cannot afford to lose. You have Austria at the end there too. So if Austria wants to advance, I mean, the pathway is there for them. They'll have to, play against Poland. But if Latvia does lose that game to the Netherlands, who has gotten a couple wins, who's gotten a win over Latvia, by the way, then it gets pretty dicey from there. The Netherlands, 2-2. The win over Latvia was big. The win over Austria was to be expected. And then over here, they lost to Poland by 2, very competitive, and lost to Austria by 1. So Netherlands, in terms of point differential, that's damn near as well as you can do for 2 losses. You're plus 15 with a 2-2 record. And then you have Latvia, who you beat already. And then you have Poland, who you nearly beat before. So shout out to the Netherlands. Group G, Finland, France, no surprise they're moving on. Hungary, so far 2-2. Point differential not great, but better than Belgium to this point. Belgium's 0-4. Belgium lost to France by 16. Belgium lost to Hungary by 2. That was a big one. Unfortunately, they lost to Finland by 5, and they lost to Finland again by 3. So Belgium is going to have France, and it's going to have Hungary. You're going to have to win both of those games if you want to advance. And beating France, it's not going to be easy. Finland did it, but Finland also lost to Hungary. So Belgium has to get 2 wins here to have a shot at advancing. And Hungary is going to play Finland. So if they lose that and Belgium beats France, then we got something to talk about as Belgium plays against Hungary. But point differential will be a factor there too. So it looks like we know who's going to move on here. Group H, Slovenia, and this is the last group from Group 1 from Europe. You have Slovenia, Czech Republic, Estonia, Sweden. Sweden, who has not played well in qualifiers so far, who at Eurobasket, I think outperformed expectations a little bit. Pelle Larsson obviously hasn't played in qualifiers because NBA player, so that hurts. Estonia, by the way, beats Slovenia in an upset in overtime. So we still expect Slovenia to move on there, but Estonia, that's a great win for them, and they actually have 2 wins on this side. They lost to Czech Republic by 5. They beat Sweden by 11, which is big for them. And they did that in Sweden, by the way. That was in Stockholm, Sweden. And then Sweden got them back later by 10. So Estonia here is going to play Slovenia again. Revenge spot, perhaps, for Slovenia, who lost at home, by the way, and then Czech Republic. So we'll see what happens there. Sweden's chance to advance. I mean, you have to beat Czech Republic, and probably you have to beat Slovenia too. So in all these groups, 3 move on, 1 go home. The way it will look from there is you have the second round, the top 3 teams in each group, A, B, C, and D. They'll move on. Everyone else will go home. Same thing here, E, F, G, and H, and then you'll get 12. You just have to be in the top 3 from whatever group you end up reclassifying in. So that's how this is going to work. It's going to be fun. Europe always brings it, obviously, and they'll often have many of the best teams in the World Cup. So excited to see how Europe turns out. Okay, let's move on to Asia as we break down the Asia bracket. Asia here, always competitive. Now that we've switched off for Europe, we're in Asia. Asia here, always competitive. Okay. First round, and again, Asia, this includes Australia. This includes New Zealand. They will send, includes Guam, they will send 8 teams to the World Cup out of the 32. So they get 25% of this tournament. First round here from this first group, Group A, Australia, New Zealand, Philippines, and Guam. Australia and New Zealand in the same group. Oh, man. Y'all are disrespectful. Australia, New Zealand, just get the rivalry out the way. Australia actually beat them by 5 in November. Then they played again in December, and they beat them again by 2. New Zealand doesn't beat them very often. But it's a fun rivalry, no less. By the way, it's funny that they would just have them play each other right off the bat, because it's like you're not going to make a team from Australia or the New Zealand national team like fly all the way to Japan. I probably should have tweeted out that I'm doing World Cup qualifiers right now. So let me actually do that. I think that, one second, FIBA World Cup qualifying breakdown ongoing. Rolls right off the tongue. Professionally done. I think as it pertains to this group, where we're at is you have Australia, you have New Zealand. Bless you. You have Australia, you have New Zealand, you have the Philippines, you have Guam. Guam's not going to make it. This will be Australia, New Zealand, and the Philippines, as we all expect. Guam plays Australia and New Zealand, so you have to make the trip down under for July, so that's not going to be fun. The Philippines has a shot to potentially, I mean, they're going to play New Zealand for that second spot. That could matter down the road because of point differential, because of head-to-head record and things of that nature. You never know what's going to happen in the next group. New Zealand, by the way, did beat the Philippines in their first matchup, and that was not in New Zealand. It was in the Philippines. So New Zealand got a road win there. They also beat Guam by a lot. The Philippines got their win over Guam and also beat Guam again. So Philippines is looking for a quality win. We'll see what happens there. Okay. Group B. Japan, South Korea, China, Chinese Taipei. This is like the World Baseball Classic group that we just discussed that has doesn't have China, but it does have 3 of these teams in WBC. Expect Japan to be one of these teams, obviously, going on to the next round. They're basically there. South Korea, 2-2. Point differential neutral. It's interesting. China, 2-2. Would be stunned if they didn't move on. We know China loves basketball. We know that they have a team that's just quality, like legitimate program, right? So I think with Japan and South Korea and China, they'll move on. Chinese Taipei, Chinese Taipei has a couple opportunities here, though. So if you remember, they did surprise some people in Asia basket last year. Chinese Taipei plays South Korea and then China in July. That's going to be important. And also, Chinese Taipei It's just 1-3. They're not 0-2, so technically they don't need to win out, but it would definitely help them if they did. Japan's going to play China. That's going to be fierce. Japan's also going to play South Korea. So you have a lot of matchups here that are going to be just, they could be close games. They're going to be, this is one of the closer groups that we're going to be talking about here. And Chinese Taipei is not out of it yet, but their performance so far has not really helped them. Like coming out the gate with a 26-point loss against Japan, not great. And then on top of that, you have another opportunity to beat Japan at home, and you weren't able to do it. You lose by 7. But we'll see. We'll see. They did get their win, though, over, I'm looking for South Korea by 12. I do remember watching the highlights for that, actually. Group C. Jordan, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. As you would imagine, Iran had a game postponed for reasons that are unfortunate and probably obvious for people who are watching this. That I wish wasn't the case, and honestly, like just really unnecessary. To just like from a world perspective, don't know why we're doing what we're doing in the States, but I don't agree with it, as you probably know if you watch this at all. Iran 2-1, who has been to World Cups, obviously, who's been one of the teams worth paying attention to. Asia Cup, don't know what their future is going to be from a sports perspective in the immediate, because of the, I guess we can call it a war, unfortunately. And they had a game postponed against Iraq, oddly enough, that was supposed to take place a few days ago. Don't know if we don't know the state of that right now. We don't even know, like, they have much bigger issues to now account for that obviously transcend basketball, like world issues that frankly were preventable. And the United States and Israel, they're taking some liberties and frankly overstepping their boundaries. But we are where we are. Jordan's playing Iran, we think, in July. And then Iran's playing Syria, we think, in July. Don't know if those things are going to take place. Don't know when the postponement's going to be rescheduled. So this group is a little bit harder to assess for some obvious reasons. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Iran, the people of Iran, the basketball team of Iran, like everybody in Iran. Jordan is first right now in the group. Syria is there. Iraq is there. Iraq is last. Iraq doesn't have the best basketball track record, but they had a close game with Syria in Lebanon in February. Many of these games have taken place in Lebanon, by the way, for various reasons. So we'll see what happens with this group. But Jordan and Iran probably have the best pedigree overall. You would expect them to be two of the teams that advance, but we don't know what the future of Iran is right now at this point, from a sporting perspective and just perspective in general. So let's move on to Group D. It's very unfortunate. Lebanon, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and India. Whew. This group. I mean, Qatar is the host of the tournament. If I'm not mistaken, has never been in a world. I'm pretty sure they haven't been in a World Cup before. 2006 they were. They've never won a game. They were 0-5. They were 21st place in the team that had 24 in a tournament that had 24 teams. I could say that again. 21st place in the tournament that had 24 teams. There you go. Professional broadcaster. Qatar has the one loss to Lebanon by 1 point. Playing well in qualifiers so far. How about that? Beat India by 26. Beat Lebanon by 3, which Lebanon is good. I believe that was also in Lebanon, so that's a surprising outcome. That's an upset there. By the way, a game between Lebanon and India got postponed. A game between Qatar and Saudi Arabia got postponed. So don't know what's going to happen there as well. Just as always, a lot going on around the world that are more important things in basketball. But as far as the qualifying end of this, there are unfortunate circumstances going on in the world. War, Government issues, things that I can talk more about that I just won't for the purposes of keeping this moving. But in Group D, we would expect these top 3 teams to advance. Well, Qatar is hosting, and then you have Saudi Arabia, who actually looked decent in the Asia Cup, and then Lebanon is one of the mainstays here. We would think that they move on to round 2, and they're pretty much locked it up. So we'll see what happens here with the 8 teams. If I had to, I mean, I would Australia, I would pencil in. The Philippines, I would pencil in. New Zealand, I would pencil in. Japan, probably China. And then from there, I mean, we don't know who else is going to be affected by what's going on around the world right now. So that's where we're at with the Asia Cup. Let's move on to the Americas. Oh, the irony. This is an interesting group right here. Okay, the Americas. Group A. Team USA is advancing. They lost to the Dominican Republic in California. I understand it was G League players, but it's not like DR brought their A team or even B team. So this tends to be happening more often nowadays. Cuba beat the United States a few years ago. This was last World Cup qualifying cycle. Mexico has a win over them over the last few years as well. In one of these qualifying cycles, I'm failing to remember if it was for the AmeriCup or for the World Cup. I'm pretty sure it was the last World Cup. It was the last World Cup, actually. I think that was a team with Isaiah Thomas on it. But Team USA is going to move on, and obviously we expect them to be in the World Cup. Dominican Republic, Mexico. Nicaragua. They had some moments in the AmeriCup, and they were hosting the AmeriCup, but we're not expecting them to make it to the World Cup. 7 teams in the Americas. I don't know if Nicaragua is going to be one of them. Group B. Oh, my God. Group B. Holy shit. Okay, clear out. Canada's advancing 4-0, no surprise. Jamaica is 2-2. Shout out to Jamaica. Holy shit. Jamaica, by the way, not only have they never made a World Cup before, they've made one AmeriCup before in 2013. One. Never made it to the Olympics. Jamaica's got hoopers now. This is not the Jamaica team from before. Saw Norman Powell play for them in the summer to help get them to this stage, by the way. If he doesn't play, don't know if they even get to this part. Nothing's guaranteed. Jamaica has Kofi Coburn, who I covered in high school, by the way. Went to high school at Christ the King. Had multiple interviews with him. Very good basketball player. Huge as well. You have other players who are eligible for the Jamaican national team. Maybe they show up this summer. Maybe they actually show up in the World Cup if they qualify. It's on the table for the Jamaican national team because they went to Puerto Rico and beat them twice. They went to PR and beat them twice. Close games, but beat them twice. It's all that matters. And then you have the Bahamian national team. The Bahamian national team, by the way, who have Isaiah Mobley, Evan Mobley's brother, Kai Jones, former NBA player. Is Buddy Hield going to show up this summer? Eric Gordon going to show up this summer? VJ Edgecombe? The Puerto Rican national team just made it to the Olympics in 2024. Had one of the best teams in the AmeriCup, and if they win in regulation against Argentina and not go to overtime where Jose Alvarado leaves early due to a back injury, maybe they medal for the first time in a while for the AmeriCup. Nelson Colon's no longer the head coach. Carlos Gonzalez is. He was named the head coach in October of 2024 after Nelson Colon stepped down after leading them to the Olympics. And honestly, the best showing that they've had on the World Cup in a while, too. I think they finished 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Nelson Colon stepping down, was that surprising? perhaps, but a lot of coaches across FIBA, FIFA, and all these competitions, they like doing one cycle and then just going on with it because it's tough to juggle this and then your day to day, coaching elsewhere, coaching team in your domestic league, so on and so forth. So I get it. The Puerto Rican national team blew both games in Jamaica. Blew them. Had opportunities, just completely squandered them both. Had an awful third quarter against the Jamaican national team in that first game, 24-11, after they were leading at halftime. And then in December, here, another opportunity to win a close game. They brought a roster of guys who, like, it was their C team, maybe at best. And obviously, you can't bring Jose Alvarado. You know what I mean? You can't bring Julian Strother, who's yet to play for the senior national team. You can't bring some of these guys, but you could have done better than some of the guys you brought on the team. You brought a better roster this time around. You lose to Canada in overtime. You should have won by regulation. You had the ball with 11 seconds to go after the game was tied. On your home floor, by the way. They've only played at home so far. They're 1-3. You had an opportunity to bring the ball up and actually get a quality look. You had 11 seconds. You walk the ball up and pass it off for a contested three-point shot while you're tied. And then you have a big lead, double digits, against the Bahamian national team. And they nearly came back and won. This team could very easily be 0-4. You're 1-3 with a point differential of -13. You have a game against Canada coming up on July 3rd. And that's damn near a must win. And you're probably not going to win that game. We'll see. You should have won the first time. And then you have the Bahamian national team. It's probably going to be in the Bahamas, if I'm not mistaken. That's July 6th. So you have a situation where you might not make it to round 2. You've been in every World Cup since like 1982. This would be the first World Cup you miss in 45 years. And this is coming off the Olympics. The first time you make it to the Olympics in 20 years. Your best World Cup finish in multiple cycles. And you might not make it to the second round of qualifying. And even if you do, you're going to have to play against Team USA, the Dominican Republic, and Mexico. In all likelihood, because of the way this is going to shake out. And you're going to try to qualify. Carlos Gonzalez, I don't like calling for people's jobs, but Carlos Arroyo's a GM. And he had been doing a great job. And I don't know what's gone on lately. But Carlos Gonzalez, like, he will not survive this if this is a serious program. If they don't make it to the second round. And if they don't qualify for the World Cup, he probably won't either. It's unacceptable. Group C. Brazil will move on. Colombia and Venezuela, who's underperformed so far. Their game got postponed, by the way. Venezuela was supposed to play Colombia. That's an important one. Speaking of places where things are going on, the United States is fucking around in Venezuela too. Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela. And then you have Chile, who's 0-4. Chile, who's never been a basketball power necessarily, but did play well against Colombia and had a chance. Had a chance in that game, if I recall correctly. Yeah, they had late in that game in the second half. And even against Venezuela when they played against each other. But Brazil will move on. Brazil just won the America Cup. Brazil's one of the best programs in the world. Like, they're back. It looked a little dicey, but they still made it to the Olympics, and then. And they did make it out of group, which is great. And the America Cup they won, and honestly, there were better players that weren't on their roster. Not better than everyone they had, but they had some really good players who weren't on their roster who still like Brazil's good. And then Group D, Uruguay, Argentina, who They didn't qualify for the World Cup. They didn't qualify for the Olympics. Like Argentina's gone, yet they've held their world ranking in the top 10. But Argentina is they're going to advance, and I think they're going to take this very seriously again. And the 7 from the Americas is going to be interesting. The United States will make it. I think DR will as well. Canada's 4-0, and they're going to make it. They're in great position. And then from there, oh my goodness, like Mexico's 2-2, but they got a game against Nicaragua that they should probably win. And then USA has their get back here. If you're Puerto Rico or Jamaica, you obviously want Mexico to lose some games to make your pathway easier. If you're the Bahamas too, but it's going to be a dogfight for the other spots. And then Brazil's going to make it. So you got, look, of the 7 spots, like USA, DR, Canada, Brazil. This is who I think will make it to the World Cup, like beyond round 2. Uruguay's 4-0 and Argentina's 3-1. Like that's going to be tough. But these groups are going to merge, and we'll see who plays who. But yeah, I don't know if my Puerto Ricans are going to make it. Got to be honest with you, it's not looking great. It's not looking great after it was, and it's plummeted dramatically, despite the BSN actually being a good domestic league. But the development of the homegrown players needs to be a little bit better. Okay, a lot of it better. Let's go to Africa now, and we'll wrap up here. Africa sends 5 to the World Cup. You have South Sudan, you have Cameroon, you have Cape Verde, all of who have been in World Cups recently. South Sudan made it and nearly beat the Puerto Rican national team in their first game. We'll see what happens there. And you have Libya, who's 4th, and they have a steep hill to climb. They're probably done here. So we expect these 3 to move on to round 2. They've returned to action in July. You have the Ivory Coast, Senegal, and Congo. The Madagascar is dead last here. Also insanely, like, just minus 66 point differential. So there's that. You have Guinea, Tunisia, Nigeria, Rwanda. Nigeria, man. Oof, speaking of falls. I don't know what's happened to the Nigerian national program, but they, they made it to the Olympics. They beat Team USA in a scrimmage. They had a World Cup appearance around then, probably a little bit before. And since then, I just don't know what's happened to the Tigers. They're 1-2 here. They didn't have a great performance in Afrobasket last year. People have told me, like, the Federation has kind of messed around with that, which unfortunately tends to happen in a lot of different places around the world, quite frankly. They lost to Tunisia in overtime, but we'll see. Nigeria has Tunisia again in July. They have Rwanda. That's a game they should win. They have Guinea. So they're going to play 3 games here. The Afrobasket teams, they didn't play in this window. Their window is a little bit different, but they just go straight from November into July. And then we'll see what happens. I wonder if that's because the Basketball Africa League tends to go on in the spring. That could be the case. And then Group D, Mali, one of the best stories from Afrobasket last year. Holy shit. Mali, 3-0. Again, they're looking to make it to the World Cup. Angola, obviously, who won Afrobasket again. And then Egypt. Uganda here. Like, for Afrobasket, for Africa, it's just not for Afrobasket, for Africa. It's pretty straightforward as to who it looks like will move on. You know what I mean? In these various groups. The 5 at the end will be interesting to see. I know people would expect South Sudan, given their recent uptick, Cameroon as well, based on their pedigree. Ivory Coast has a great, like, point differential here. They've been smacking teams, taking care of business. Senegal is obviously a threat. We'll see what happens there. Guinea, they've been playing well. And then Mali, again, great story. They keep winning games. Angola too. Like, Africa is going to be very, very, like, that's going to be super competitive too. So we'll see who moves on there. They return to action in July, and then we'll see what happens. So we'll get divvied up into 6 groups, or groups of 6 rather, and then the top 2 will advance, and then the best third place team amongst the group. Similarly across the board for the Americas. And there you have it. All right, let's get out of here. That was a lot. 2-hour show. Bradford William Davis, thank you. once again, World Baseball Classic talk, and then FIBA World Cup talk. We'll be back with next week's show. Have no idea what we're going to talk about yet, but that's what we do here. Thanks for watching, following along. See you next week.